Well,
Yay!
you can just take one.
Lucy, do you want to introduce a little bit about yourself? We'd love to get to know your. Oh, hold on a second. I got some playback happening here right now.
You can just.
Hey, Gabe, how are you, brother?
Here. So just a plain one, and which is you can take 2,000.
Hey guys, I'm doing some stuff, so I'm just gonna be listening for now.
Yeah, no worries. Just saying hello.
Yeah, hello guys. I didn't really hear you. I just got on, trying to connect my
No.
headphones.
Lucy, do you want to share a little bit about yourself? Welcome. I know it's your first youth leadership call. I'm super curious about if you don't mind sharing a little bit about your magic and what you're up to at the University of Alberta.
Okay. I'm Lucy. I'm third year, I guess, technically, computer science student at the U of A. I started my journey at the U of A in engineering, and I did 2 years in that program, and I didn't really enjoy it. I didn't feel really supported by my faculty. So I took a little bit of time. I did 3/4 of a year off. Like I just worked, and then I did open studies, which is just like you take like a few courses. You're not like in a faculty, and then you can kind of I tried to figure out what I liked, and then I ended up really enjoying computer science, so I went into that, and now I'm here.
I love it. So from engineering to computer science, is there similarities that you discovered or patterns that you recognized?
Yeah, there are quite a bit of. Sorry, just waking up. There are quite a bit
Okay.
of similarities in like the types of students in both programs are very similar. Like the types of people that are attracted to those programs are kind of similar. But I felt like I had like a little bit more freedom to like explore exactly like what I was interested in computer science versus in engineering. You kind of are given a schedule and they tell you these are the courses you have to take. You don't really have options. All of like the option courses were like, oh, choose like 3 out of 5 from this list. Versus
I
computer
love
science,
that.
open, like there's tons of areas of study you can go into, and then you can kind of choose what you're interested in.
Sounds like you're more driven towards creativity.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say that.
And she's an
I love
amazing.
it.
I'm okay.
Tell us more, please. I'm curious. What kind of art?
Mostly like I do like mixed media and drawing and some like textile stuff, like embroidery. Yeah, so like
Nice.
a mix of different things. I like to knitting, yeah.
Fashion?
I don't do that sort of fashion construction. It's a little
Okay.
bit different.
She has a sewing machine.
I do
Yeah,
so.
she's made Tracy and I both tennis bags.
Yeah, that was
She's
a big project.
like-
tennis bags.
Yeah, like
Those are really fun to make.
they were, yeah, very cool.
I know all the ladies at tennis are jealous.
So I know we kind of talked about it, but I'm curious if you can go deeper into your passion.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say that my passion is ever one thing exactly. Actually, wait, let me go grab, I have a book. Let me go grab it.
Yeah, please.
that kind of helped me think about like passion, really. That one mom
Yeah, yeah.
taught me. Oh,
Welcome, Mart.
Hello.
Hi, Mark.
We were
I don't
just
know
with
if
your
you-
father. It's so nice to see you.
Ah, man, he is so far away.
years ago, Brenda infected me with her addiction to self-help books,
Mm,
which I think is more of a gift than a disease, like I kind of implied by that.
Yeah.
But the,
Thank
Tracy got me this book a little while ago when I was kind of in my rut after engineering and I was not really sure what I wanted to do. And I'm someone who kind of struggled for a long time with the idea of like, oh, like finding what you're passionate about and working on that, or like the phrase like, oh, if you love your job, you'll never work a day in your life. Because for me, like I'm the type of person who like work is always going to feel like work. And I think that's okay. Like I love this book kind of taught me that it's okay. Like your job is kind of meant to feel like a job, but that doesn't mean that you can't enjoy it. He kind of explains that it's so like I've come to realize I'm the type of person that I really get a lot of enrichment from like my extracurriculars outside of whatever my career is. But I do also at the same time, he's like, you don't need to be like 100% like, I am destined to do whatever like this career is. Like you just like finding a career and building like finding a job in a career that's like meaningful to you is more about finding something that is engaging to you and that you can become like quite proficient at, because he went around and interviewed a bunch of people, and one of the stories that stuck out was these people who worked in college admissions, and they were all like, no, I never saw myself working in college admissions. Like I went to school for like this random other thing, but they loved their jobs because they knew and they felt very proficient at it, and they felt that they were making some sort of difference. And so he's like, you can make a career that you like, that you love and that you um feel like very good about. And that might not mean doing something that you were like, I was destined to do this my entire life. So I kind of feel that way a little bit about that's kind of why I chose computer science. Like it's engaging. Like I feel like I'm being challenged, which is really important to me. I need to feel like I'm pushing myself, right? Like I need to feel like there's opportunity for growth at all times, which is so true with computer science because the technology industry is rapidly changing all the time. So there's always growth opportunity. And then it's something will that I know can afford me like a lifestyle in which I'm comfortable enough to explore like like my extracurriculars that really also bring me a lot of joy. Like I feel that way about knitting. Like I love knitting. I love knitting. Oh, it's like my favorite like hobby. But I couldn't knit for a living. I think that I would lose a lot of my love for it and my passion for it if I was forced to like get up and do it all the time.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm curious if there's a possibility that your job can become a mission, and if that mission can drive you towards those microcosms of proficiencies into a macro experience that, for example, maybe you get to lead a team of knitters that build your brand of knit line that allows you to utilize your creativity by encouraging others to do the tasks of the micro and help them understand why they're doing it because it's something that they truly love to do, because you're painting the broader picture of what it means to actually where they're going, the North Star for more than others. And from that place, it's not really your job, but every moment becomes your purpose. I'm curious if that's something that is possible.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Well, a big portion of this book, I don't know if it says in the glossary, but he talks about yeah, what it kind of boils down to in the book is, yeah, the number 4 one is rule 4 is for his like kind of idea of like what it means to make a career you love is think small, act big, or the importance of mission. So that was like a really big part of it was he said you can be proficient and you can be skilled at what you're doing, but one of the biggest things for people was that they had to in this book was that they had to feel like they were making some sort of difference. Like they had a clear like vision of why they were doing what they were doing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was an awesome book. This helped me out a lot with finding out what I wanted to pursue.
Then I have a question for you.
Mhm.
So how are you going to make a difference?
Ideally, I really would like to work on, so I'm in the field of computer science. I want to work on firmware development. So that is kind of like working on the chips that go inside of our computers, like programming them. And so right now we are in an age where our computer programs that we have on our computer that like we interact with, our software is quite complex, quite advanced. It takes a lot of computing power. So the main goal in like kind of the firmware side is how do we make our technology, how do we make our hardware more efficient? I care a lot about the environment. That's kind of like one of my big things. And one of the really big things right now is issues, really big things in the technosphere are like AI and Bitcoin are taking up a lot of energy. But if we can make our chips more efficient, if we can make our hardware more efficient and give it more computational power, then we can shrink the amount of servers and the amount of like data centers and things that we need to run our AI, to run like Bitcoin systems, and we can shrink our environmental footprint a lot in that respect. So that's kind of what I care about right now.
So
I-
making sure that our global consumption will remain the same instead of continuously increasing for a
Yeah.
little bit at
And
least.
better yet, I'd like to shrink it because we're at a bit of an unsustainable level right now.
So I have a question. Do you think that the consumption will minimize, or do you think the way we transmute the energy of our planet into the consumption becomes way more efficient? Because what I'm hearing is efficiency in terms of taking the resources that are available to us and turning them into a way more regenerative, not sustainable, but regenerative way of catapulting the next generation.
Yeah, it's kind of both. I think both are important. I think that we live in a culture of quite a bit of overconsumption right now, so we could all do better to reduce that consumption. But I'm sure that we will also figure out, specifically in the field of energy, we will be able to. I am someone who's optimistic. I'm always like looking like forward thinking, like I'm hopeful that we'll be able to create cleaner sources of energy that will give us like higher yields of energy for like less kind of processing.
So do you feel like there is an ability to create more harmony or balance in terms of the Western civilization so that we can also then utilize or support more of the countries that have less, meaning less access to infrastructure
Oh,
by
absolutely.
more infrastructure, or how do you see that based off of kind of your map of the world?
Well, I think it's not simply just creating more infrastructure because we actually have quite a bit right now. Um, I personally believe that the Earth has like everything that we need, like as humans. It has enough to supply like all of us, but the only issue is that we have it unevenly distributed right now. So
Exactly.
reality, if we distributed like everything, like all the resources in the world, we would be able to support everyone across the globe. Like the earth is our mother, she gives us what she needs, but some of us are not sharing our toys, kind of, is how I feel
Exactly.
right. Um,
Wisdom.
yeah, we have a lot of infrastructure that could be kind of rebalanced or rejigged. My big thing, and especially like we're in Alberta, is like oil is really big here, and oil is just not serving us anymore. It's getting old, it's not renewable, and so not only is it bad for the environment, but it's bad for us because we have all of our eggs in one basket, and we're not looking forward. Like we're not like leaning forward and thinking about what's going to happen in 25 years when we run, or like 50 years. Like, are we going to run out of oil? What are we going to do then? Like, we're not
Right.
thinking about alternative forms of how to power our cities, because beyond environment, like green energy concerns, we have just the very concern of how are we going to heat our homes in 50 years. Like,
So I want to just because like in terms of infrastructure, for example, like Guatemala and a lot of places in South America, they don't have clean water even access some of these places where there's like plastics in the rivers.
Yeah.
In Africa, there's a lot of foreign uh, focus in terms of people coming in, extracting and taking from the locals versus like just leaving the space and the place for the locals so that they can actually utilize the resource. So like we always say is like how can we act locally and think globally? So what are the actions that we can create in terms of building impact in the local communities, but then think how this can actually create a wider spread of impact. And one of the things here that I was working on some stuff with an engineering firm and oil and gas and with discussing some of these power plants and things that are really focused on how they want to build or rebuild the infrastructure of what's existing in terms of these assets based off of legacy assets that are already, these pipelines that are built into the grounds. And by these pipelines being built in the grounds, how can we actually start to, rebalance the infrastructure, meaning using what's already there, capturing the energy that may be stranded and liberating it. So a lot of pollution from these oil and gas refineries is being offset into the atmosphere, and we're not using any of it. We're just polluting it, and this is also a huge effect on climate change. But there is ways that we can capture it. There is ways that we, like you said, we have all the tools, all the tech, all the capacity, all the resources to make a change. What's lacking most of the time, and also the patterns that I've discovered over the thousands of years, is that it's the leadership that isn't willing to step into a resourceful enough paradigm, or what I call regenerative paradigm, to really stand on top of each other's shoulders to then create change so that you guys as our next generation, because how old are you, Lucy?
23.
23. Mark, how old are you? Mark? How old are you, Mark?
I'm currently 26.
26.
And Gabe, how old are you again?
29.
29.
So you guys are the next generation, and then we also have Gabe and Luan and many others that are younger than you in their 20, 21, and there's going to be more that are consistently coming to the playground here, so that we can continue to play. And so my perspective is, how do we cultivate a real harmonious environment so that this conscious economic ecosystem is based off of really creating regeneration, capturing and supporting the environment so that we can convert that energy into a sustainable monetary equality paradigm. These resources are really being encapsulated by driving the community development. And I kind of shared this briefly, and I'm going to share it to you all right now, because we talked earlier with Brenda about this, and we were talking about the importance. And we got Johan back. Bro, it's been so long. So nice to see you again. Nice to see you again, Johan. Welcome back.
Hey, sorry, I was sorting out my audio. Hey,
Brother, it's great to see you. How are you? Things are good?
nursing a hangover.
Well, so I was just about to share. So this is kind of the things that we were talking about earlier, with Brenda, and it's like, how are we, really transitioning into this clarity of making sure that environment and sustainability and vitality are being captured, so we can not only in our bodies but also in the environment external to us really convert that energy into making sure that we're directing it into a monetary equality ecosystem that's focused on delivering, true returns to the community, so that we can relate to one another, so we can be in relationship to each other, so that we're supporting communities, developing communities, really referring each other to support each other in a development that's actually retaining and sustaining a regenerative paradigm. And so this is how we harmonize energy, capital, and labor in our ecosystem, so that we can take, and really recognize the responsible paradigm that we all get to regenerate and focus on. And these are some of the components that I believe engineering, computer science, oil and gas, community developments, real estate, investor, private equity, like, how can we start to really emphasize these key components that change the way that we resource share? Because resources are infinitely available to us if we believe in something greater than ourselves, and we tap into that benevolence and abundance that's inside of us. It's also continuously coming through our mother Earth, right? So by emphasizing this co-creation, we can actually start to build the leadership that's able to utilize all these resources and create more of that, like you said, balance or equality in those that have and those that have not, and really recognizing this source of abundance.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think
What
that's
are your
well-
thoughts, Lucy? I'd love to hear what your perspectives are on this, what I just shared.
I think that's well put. I feel very similarly. I mean, I think I kind of expressed that with like my idea that we have what we need, but it's just not evenly distributed. I think a lot of the time about in North America, especially, or like the G7 countries, kind of, were very blessed to have really incredible scientists and innovators who've created all these technologies to help us refine raw materials into energy, purify water for human use, and et cetera, et cetera. And none of those scientists or innovators ever set out thinking, I'm going to make this technology so it can be used by my country and my country alone. Every one of those, I know like how scientists think, every one of them, they set out thinking, I'm gonna make this technology because it's gonna make the entire world a better place. But then you're so right that it's like the leaders who are not thinking of the regenerative paradigm, they're thinking very close, they're thinking only local without any global impact. They're like, how do I just fix like what's right? How do I just use it to serve me and my community right here, instead of thinking about how they can give that gift and share that knowledge with other countries. It becomes a, oh, well, I have something so great, I'm gonna like ransom it out. You better pay me if you want to have the same thing. Which I think is just not it's not a mindset that serves us, because when the whole world is like supported, when like communities outside of our own are uplifted, then it allows for discourse between our own community and the other community, and we can have a flow of not only material goods but culture, like community, and it benefits both mutually. And I think leaders are forgetting that kind of right now.
So wise. I love listening to you.
Yeah, try having an argument with her.
No, but you know what? Thoughtful disagreement is one of the greatest things that we
know.
get to best
She's so
ideas.
convincing.
It's not even convinced, it's fact.
I know. She has just a great way of articulating.
Yeah.
You
Mark, do you
do.
want to add anything?
I do have something to add, because what was your name? I didn't.
Lucy.
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 Lucy. One thing, you're currently in the mindset of oil is bad, but what if I say to you, oil can be good, and oil, it can even be green? Why is that? Well, it's very simple. If you use oil instead of coal, for instance, it's greener. So if you think in a locality or a community size bit that is currently using coal or burning wood or whatever, then switching to oil and gas or something can be a great improver or as to relative greenness.
Very true. In fact, all the coal power plants in China, for example, if we stop thinking just about the localities and we, acted local and thought global, we could actually move and help move the liquid LNG natural gas to China and emphasize a really great ecosystem that can support the environment while still helping with the resources that we have here in Alberta, specifically, just in Alberta. So if we created more of that ecosystem where there's more of a holistic approach of utilizing some of these resources and supplying the LNG lines or liquid natural gas, it can take away not only from the coal, but also to support other economies of scale.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I recognize that we, especially here in Alberta where we are, we're only like Drumheller is only like a little ways away, and that's one of the biggest coal mining sites in Alberta historically. And moving towards natural gas is definitely a lot greener than coal. I'm thinking from the perspective of Canada, because Alberta has been in the position where we've been warned that we're going to run out of oil, and that's inevitable. And we just need to diversify, but I think we're like a little bit scared right now. There's a fear of something that's unfamiliar. And I think that we in Alberta have the privilege of, we've been with oil for so long that we can start looking forward to other things. I actually was reading a little bit, and I was talking with one of my good friends the other day about, there are a lot of places in China that are actually skipping the step of oil, and they're going straight from coal to renewable energy. There was this huge project my friend was talking to me about where China was installing solar cells, like solar panels, in this one area, and they were trying to figure out, okay, one of the big problems with solar panels is, and they experience this in California, is that you kind of have to have like quite a big, quite a large area of land that is cleared. So you would have to clear cut, and deforestation is another issue. So China, what they had was they had old mining sites. I don't know if they were coal mining sites or if they were mining for other minerals there.
Rare earths.
They had these old mining sites. Okay, yeah. And they filled them with water to try to like, recreate an ecosystem. And then they actually installed the solar panels over top of the water. So that water area is already a clear, flat area that would not be used otherwise. The water is slowly, like, reintroducing life into the earth and creating an ecosystem. And then those solar panels are placed in such a way that they would not actually have to clear land to install them, which I think was quite brilliant.
What
In the
they've
step-
been what they've been doing here in the Netherlands is they've been taking farmland and taking crops which have a high yield but a low growth ceiling. So they only go up about a foot, and they put solar panels over those crops during growth seasons, so they get the shade they need. And you're actually able to rent, or I believe even buy, the plot of land for usage of solar energy. So you don't have to put solar panels on your roof. You can rent solar panels on land.
Well, of course, the Netherlands has something awesome like that. I always read about you guys are always at the forefront of like.
We've
cool-
used all our land. We don't have land anymore.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you do have to solve that problem.
We are masters at land efficiency.
Yeah.
If you've ever flown over Europe, it's very apparent when you enter Germany and leave the Netherlands.
That's like the Netherlands is among like the top places that I want to visit. And
We have about a 99% land use.
90,
Yeah.
wow.
yeah.
That
The
does
only
mean
green
still some
spaces are the-
dedicated green parts, but that's
Yeah.
dedicated green.
That's really
We
cool.
don't have wilds, like proper wilds. That isn't a thing here.
Yeah.
They don't have what?
Yeah, like they don't have like woods. Like
Oh,
we do.
woods.
Where
Okay.
it's so different from us coming from Canada, where we have such a small population relative to our land mass. Like there's nothing but wilderness.
That's a good thing. It means your land is able to be used.
This
Things
is
like
true.
solar energy, geothermal, even nuclear is very
Mhm.
land intensive.
Yeah.
Especially nuclear, you want it away from population centers, of course. And
Mhm.
I have a friend, same with Mark Jeroen. He works at the company that manages the grid in the southern part of the Netherlands. And the problem here is that our grid isn't upgraded to be able to handle more nuclear power. And the big
Mhm.
problem, the main problem for that is land use. Because
Mhm.
all the land is owned. You can't just build power cables. You need to talk to every owner of every bit of land.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Yeah,
it's
no.
a process that takes minimal 12 years, probably 18.
Mm. That makes sense.
God
Yeah.
forbid there's one badger.
Oh, a badger. Oh no.
You have badger problems over there?
No, well,
we don't
they
have
are on
badger
the
problems. There
endangered
are
species
badgers.
list here, or at least the you can't fuck with them list. So that means that the plant it's delayed by like 3 months, 6 months because there was a badger.
You
Yeah,
can't.
I guess that would be us and like moose. You can't like disturb the moose. We have a lot of wildlife that's like being protected, especially here in Alberta. We've got like the buffalo, which are endangered because they were over hunted. But
That's
yeah,
the thing with they're not even endangered.
They're
Not anymore. They used to be.
They just don't take anyone's nonsense.
They used to be endangered, but then we did a lot of preservation, and now they're thriving. And they've been making burrows underneath train rails and shutting down the entire infrastructure for months.
Those are funny. I've never seen a
Simple little
badger in real
badger.
life.
I'm curious how you guys think we can start to what your perspectives are on really engaging more of our local and business owners to help in revitalizing the ways that we choose to operate. What are some of your perspectives in the ways that we can educate, empower, entertain business leaders to really take more of a responsible role in choosing to regenerate our environment, not just locally, but also globally? Is there some ideas that maybe some of you might have? I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
I believe there is only one solution long term for our environmental problems. And it is one that's going to take a lot of capital and a lot of political engagement, and that is space. If you look at the Earth, the amount of rare earths and the amount of metal and the amount of things that we need in it are actually quite shallow. They're actually quite low, and most of them are deep within the core. Things like gold, uranium, ytterbium, rare earths, which is going to be the next big crisis. I can promise you that. Rare earths are going to be the next big crisis. They're not
When you
found
say
here.
rare earths, what do you mean? Are you saying, like you just said, you're saying like
Ytterbium, gold, neodymium, praseodymium, uranium, thorium, these elements that are very useful for industry and are necessary for our standard of life, and especially the advancement of it. All electric cars use neodymium in their electric motors, for now at least. We are running out of it quite quickly, and most of it is in China, which, as we all know, it's not going to be a great trading partner for the coming years, I believe. And if they are going to have very high prices, the other country that makes them is Sweden and the US. The US internationally can be counted on for the coming time with the Trump presidency and their tariffs. And Sweden, they'll be fine. As a species, we have to look at space, at the asteroid belt, where these elements, these minerals, these metals can be found in abundance. They're not rare, just not here. There is an asteroid, I believe, in it's near Ceres, I believe, at the moment, and it is mainly gold. The first person that's going to crack asteroid mining will be the richest person in history, and will be the most influential person since the making of the internet.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I've heard about that, how it's just that in space there are so much more kind of prime conditions to create those minerals as opposed to here on Earth. A lot of our space is taken up by people or water without, and like oxygen, without those like elements, like we have there's much more space for them, for those other types of compounds to thrive, which is very interesting. It's a good
And that's not
point.
even to get into manufacturing. Moving a 1-ton piece of metal is a chore. If you do it in vacuum, I could do it. Vacuum 0G.
Yeah, exactly. With the anti-gravity, it's much easier. It takes much less force to move. Yeah, I didn't even consider. That's a really good point.
Make a car in space, it'll be 10 times cheaper.
Plus, yeah,
That's not even a joke.
Plus, if you're mining out in space, it's not we're not putting emissions into our ozone layer and like polluting the air breathing.
You're looking at launching a lot of material into space, and that will pollute, of course, methane, which is the current
pollution.
But once you're in space, you can use, this is not a joke, nuclear bombs to propel yourself forwards. Fusion bombs, so they're not even that radioactive. You should look this up. The Project Orion, I believe, from the US Air Force. They use nuclear pulse propulsion, and I don't know if anybody here is into space travel at all, but it's about 100 times more efficient than chemical rockets. The only reason we're not using it is politics.
Yeah, everyone was really, really scared of Chernobyl. I feel that way. Like I'm very interested in nuclear power. I learned a lot about it in school, especially in my first year of engineering. But and in Canada, in the province right next to us, they have like a huge like the reactor, but we're scared of nuclear power because of tragedies like Chernobyl, which is it this kind of like the tale as old as time of humanity is like we're scared of the things that we don't understand. And Chernobyl is really an issue of understanding because Chernobyl is a fluke, but like by all means, like in every sense, it was that power plant was not made well. It was pretty much designed to fail. There's so many documentaries, there's so much research into Chernobyl and the design of the plant. It was not engineered correctly. And so people are scared of nuclear power because they're like, oh, we're gonna have a disaster like Chernobyl, but they don't understand that it wasn't the nuclear power itself, it was the plant that was designed to hold it, which was not designed properly.
Do you
We have much more knowledge now, and we have the ability to make plants safely.
do you
It
remember
was
when? Uh, Go ahead.
it was the people, and the people that are again coming back to the leadership and the culture, right? And so really emphasizing this key component. I love that you both brought up nuclear energy because it's the cleanest energy, and it can really change and it's also can really create a lot of growth and prosperity, but not but and most people, because of the need for power, the need for tragedy, the uncertainty of the past, because of these ego driven perspectives and leaders, are using it as not as a force for good or a force for God, but a force of destruction. And that story keeps prevailing because nobody's learning the lesson. Most people are not learning the lesson of what is it actually, the use of it for good. And I love that I'm hearing this right now from youngsters. I mean, younger than me. I'm not. I'm pretty young still too. I need to say, but the point is that uh, it's nice that we're all talking about or thinking the same way. And now it's about really engaging in that behavior because, there's a lot of this power available to us and we can use it. We just need to influence the leadership and be the leaders that make that change happen so that we can engage with these type of conversations that bring solutions and focus on the solutions because Johan, also what I'm hearing too from your wisdom coming from a place of utilizing the asteroids and the minerals outside is a great way. It's like almost like we could put a bank into space and utilize the bank and the resources to then fund different projects here on Earth.
It's also not even that for me. We may have been born on Earth, but we were never destined to die here. I believe it truly is our destiny. The Polynesian people who went to Samoa, went to Hawaii, they did not know if they would survive their trip on their ships. I believe we are looking too much inwards and not looking outward for solutions, just in general.
That's a good analogy. I like that analogy.
So I challenge this because I think the only way to discover ourselves is to go inside. And so that's the essence of really taking an even more responsible role. And if we look outside, we're seeking something outside of us. But if we do discover our essence within, it's a really important component to take responsibility, which then allows us to fundamentally create these solutions, whether it's in space or otherwise. But it doesn't mean that we you know, the mother is our mother, and the Mother Earth is what we're here to serve. And so, although the infinite space of creation allows us to be resourceful and catapult and create maybe need more minerals, I also believe that there's a lot of the things that are being said in terms of the resources that are here on Earth or what's been used. If we actually pay more attention to, you know, there's resources if we put all the natural resources and availabilities into a Olympic-sized swimming pool, we've used about a cup. So that's also something that we have to pay more attention to, is there is also a lot more benevolence here on our home planet than we're all told that there is.
I'm not disagreeing with you necessarily, but Earth's our home. You don't mine in your home. You don't steal from your own house. You go outside.
No, you don't steal at all.
You know what I mean.
Well, no, actually, it's very important to make that distinction. There's no stuff at all. So it's again going in. So see, this is the perspective that you're sharing that is out of alignment for me. Is
Mhm.
when you're perceiving anything that you need to go outside of, right? That means that you're thinking that it's outside of you. It's a distinction of change. And so when you're inside, when you're understanding the devotion within yourself, that phenomenon is actually never, we're not stealing anything. We're utilizing the energy that's within us and that's given to us by our great teacher, our creator, God, whatever you want to call, name doesn't matter. And we're working in harmony of that energy to really and by taking care of the planet, we're not stealing from her. We're creating more efficient, sustainable, and regenerative ways that allow us to build on top so that the next thousands of years, our children's children can continue to manifest and create the life that they truly desire.
Fair enough.
Yeah, like whatever, it's kind of the idea of whatever we're given by the earth, we need to cherish it and take care of it such that we can share it and pass it on.
And that's part of reverence. That's also part of our indigenous teachings, right? Of the wisdom of the ancients, is like to really recognize the wisdom of one another, recognizing that the all oneness or aloneness, you know, one of the greatest teachings that I've discovered is that we're actually here alone. And if we actually pay more attention to that, then we will take responsibility of every environment that we walk into, which is ultimately the environment that, you know, we create. So Brenda and I have talked about this many times. It's like when we walk into an environment, we're there to engage and influence the room, not allow the room to influence us. That's coming from inside. It's not coming from the external circumstances. It's coming from a knowing deep inside of you. And that's what the planet, the playground, allows us to do if we choose to connect and harmonize with the energy. Because then you're working in harmony from the inside. It's an inner game. It always has been. The more that we tap into our inner knowing, the more we tap into the trust of what's happening around us.
And I think too, also, the more impact we can have on the outside. Like if we want to impact the outside, like it definitely has to start there on the inside for us.
I think I think of humans are very social creatures. We're meant to connect. There's a reason one of the most terrible forms of punishment for humans is solitary confinement, because we're meant to connect with one another. Like we're built to be social creatures. And I think it goes along with what you were saying earlier, Eric, about how do we start local and then create kind of that ripple effect. And I think it's establishing a culture of responsibility and respect for our environment, respect for where we are, respect for those around us. If we had, I believe that if we had more respect for those around us, we would be more apt to share those technologies and bring technologies like that people have created to other countries, because there would be that respect for the other person, for the other party, and the understanding that if I am so lucky to have this knowledge, I should share it because out of respect for that person.
So I'm hearing, I know that what you're referring to, and I'm hearing, I know that you're saying respect for the other person, but ultimately what matters is the respect for oneself, because the golden rule of life is to do to others as you would like to have done to yourself. So although I know what you mean, ultimately what you're saying, or what I hear you saying, it's respect for oneself, because as a result of treating yourself with that space, there is that devotion to respect someone else. So
Yeah.
it like we don't need others to respect us. We just need to respect ourselves, and as a result, we go first, and that respect will come back to us. So and it just shows up in what I'm saying is the mirror, and this is just going back to that level of influence of internally influencing ourselves, so that as a result, because this respect word, um it's taking care of our vitality and our energy ultimately. This respect word is like, how are we taking responsibility of ourselves and our own nature? This respect word is like everything that I can do for myself as being an example in my behavior, how I choose to operate, what I choose to say in reverence to somebody else. It will ultimately reflect by my choices, by my physiology, by my focus, by my language, by the state of behavior that I'm in. That, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And by the way, this is what I love to talk about most. So I feel like this has been one of the most profound conversations I've had for many days on the Lighthouse. So thank you all for showing up with such openness. Mark, go ahead.
I just had a epiphany about a word we haven't used yet. That is, I would say, the combining factor of it all, whether talking about oneself and one's respect for themselves, whether we're talking about how to deal with energy in a local community as a whole species, or even going out in space. I believe the core word for all of these things is growth.
Yeah.
As a person, as how we utilize energy, and growth in what we consider the inside. Because once the inside grows enough, it encompasses what we would previously describe as outside. Those asteroids, those are outside. No. They now belong to the inside. For it's part of our network or whatever.
We began in rocks and trees. Now we make them ourselves. I believe that's very well put, Mart.
Beautiful words.
Well, it's just one word, growth.
It's good perspective. The way that you explained it though was very good. I think like kind of almost like the way that you explained you used growth and then explain like what you mean, kind of like how like
Everything, whether an individual
feels like it feels exactly like the growth of like a plant. Like I see like our growth is like our tree above the surface, and then everything that you've explained below is the root system, because for every tree, what you see above ground is like a fraction of the size of what exists underground below it. And you've kind of like the way that you've described and defined growth in this situation kind of mirrors that, which I think is really poetic.
Sorry. Scott's coming in 2 minutes, so.
Don't apologize.
an even better explanation. Oh, glorious.
Right? It's a beautiful alignment here. So I'm excited to continue to discover and share even more insight. Johan, are you in the WhatsApp group already or no?
No, I am.
Okay.
I've
Amazing.
been just incredibly busy with school and family obligations, so I haven't had a lot
What are
of
you
Oh, that's
studying?
fine.
What are you studying?
IT, and I own a business doing consulting work on non-polymer 3D printing. So concrete, food, gels. Think of it, I've worked with it.
And Mart, what do you do?
I'm currently still a student in chemical engineering.
Oh, nice.
Advanced plumbing.
Uh,
No,
I would
chemical
say it
engineering-
indeed as advanced or a highly educated plumber.
Yeah, chemical engineering is more like thermodynamics, is it not? Like, isn't that mostly?
It's a lot of thermodynamics, yes.
Yeah. I enjoyed thermodynamics when I did like my preliminary.
Thermodynamics, fluid
Interesting.
dynamics, people
Yeah.
dynamics only. That's what you need to use for when encountering people. Oh
Right.
well, that's also important.
remember
you
We
guys
we
are
don't
both
get taught that.
You're both in the Netherlands?
We know each other.
Yes.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, nice to
You
meet you
can
guys.
say we are both in the Netherlands, though we are about as furthest apart in the Netherlands as you can be.
Which
Oh,
isn't
really?
that far.
I know people in Europe are like, oh, I'm gonna take a day trip to another country. I'm like, what?
No,
I saw a
for
joke
me,
online that it was
for
like,
me, what do you consider a pretty long distance?
um,
Pretty long.
well, like a
10 hour.
3 hour drive.
Oh, 3 hour.
That's kind of far. to
I'm
me.
thinking
I-
Vancouver.
Yeah,
10 hour.
Vancouver is like a 10 hour distance. The next
uh,
province over is like a 12 hour drive.
March
Okay,
is,
what
I
you
think,
consider
2.5
pretty
to 3
long-
hours?
What you consider pretty long is basically the entire country for us. We consider that, oh, that's fucking far away. That's not a little. No,
I'm not
that's
doing that.
that's the
How
end of the
long-
world.
How long does it take to get from one of the end of the Netherlands to the other?
3 hours,
3
4
hours-ish.
hours.
That's the distance to the next that's the distance from where we are right now to our sister city.
I could get to France in 2 hours.
You guys are amazing.
Yeah.
I can't
love
even go to
this.
Calgary in 2 hours.
Yeah, we got a red deer.
That's one city over. That's insane. I saw a joke though. There's the other day online of like European people were making fun of North Americans. They're like, if you drive for 30 minutes in Canada, you might not even leave your driveway. I'm like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
If
Lucy,
you drive
let's
for
get,
30 minutes, it's different country.
Yeah.
Lucy, let's get you into the WhatsApp group.
Okay.
Brenda, you want to send the link over to her or whatever is easiest?
No.
I know that Brenda, you have a call with Scott right now, so I want to make sure that we acknowledge his time as well. So,
Oh, yeah.
gentlemen and ladies, it was a pleasure. I really, really appreciate all your insights. Let's continue to marry on and create magic. I love you all.